Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 11 of this 30-day authentic life challenge. I am Tanya E, and today we are going to have a conversation about prayer. Prayer is a key component that will help you break through to your next level. It's simply having a conversation with God. Most of the time, people are thinking that prayer is so hard and elaborate and that there's so much difficulty involved in it. It is not that difficult. All you're doing is asking heaven to intervene on your behalf. Now, when you choose to believe in God, it does not mean that your life gets easier. Sometimes you end up with more chaos than you expect because you choose to believe that God will join you in on the journey. There's still loss, there's still hurt, there's still pain and chaos. But here's the thing about it. You do not have to walk through those things alone. God will join you on the journey. And it may not look exactly like you want it, but it will feel so good in your soul when you start experiencing it. There's two things I want you to realize today when you have this conversation so that life just does not beat you down in the journey. One, you are not strong enough to handle the temptations that will come your way, the devastation from the loss that you will experience, or have the initiative in your being to be able to have a long-term experience of pressing through. Those are difficult. The second thing I need you to realize is that you're fighting two battles. First, a physical one. A lot of people are familiar with that, your day-to-day experiences that you deal with all the time. But you are also fighting a spiritual battle at the same time. It took Jesus to come out of heaven, pour his deity into a body to deal with the spiritual battle. If God had to fight the spiritual battle, then you are not yet fully equipped to do so. But here's the beautiful thing. When you let him join you on the journey, he already won. So you stand in a position of victory when you let God join you on the journey. And to help you through this process, just like soldiers need armor, you have armor that will help you get through your day as well. And I find it real appropriate because it didn't dawn on me until I started beginning to share the message that today is a day that we're celebrating and thanking those soldiers that put their life on the line to make certain that we could have the liberties that we desire. Well, you are also a soldier that has to put yourself on the line day to day so that you can have some liberties in your personal realm. I am so grateful that those people took the time. A lot of my family, friends, and loved ones have served this country and served it well. I commend them for it. And for a lot of them walking through that battle and understanding that you need armor to get you prepared for war is something that they have clarity. So let the rest of us get some understanding about what that means, because there are 6 pieces of armor that God has provided that will help you get through your journey. The first 3 are for you to wear at all times. There's the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, and the shoes of peace. With the belt of truth, it just simply means that you will let God's truth be the defining truth in your life. Let that be the mapping out of what you deal with your experiences, because you will hear information from a lot of different places. But facts are not always the truth that gives a full scope of any situation. God will do that for you. The next thing is the breastplate of righteousness. This is where you will make certain that you are on the right side with God, covering your heart and the things that you have to deal with in your life. Excuse me. And then there's the shoes of peace. This is the part that I really am grateful for, because when you have on all three pieces of armor, that is what you are supposed to be fighting in. But if you feel something off, especially for me, when I discovered that my peace was missing, when I went through the chaos of my divorce, all I wanted was my peace back. And I discovered that I did not have my armor on because there was no peace in my realm. That will give you some insight so that you know if you don't have your peace, your shoes are missing. Then there are 3 pieces of armor that you take up as you need. It's called the helmet of salvation, the shield of faith, and the sword of the Spirit. With the helmet of salvation, it's putting a helmet on your head. It's making certain that you are mindful of the things that's coming into your mind. We have to protect what we see. We have to protect what we experience. We have to protect what we think, because your life is run by the decisions and the choices that you make. We've had conversations earlier in this challenge about you being exposed with various things in your mind. Your goals are set and your life is run by what you think you can do. Then you have the shield of faith. The shield of faith is in place to give you as a first line of defense against a spiritual enemy. There's been enough TV shows and conversations about demons that people know that there's something else that is taking place around us. Well, you do have a spiritual enemy, and he intends to throw fiery darts at you that will put you in a position to shudder back. But the way that you defeat that is having faith. Faith that God joins you on the journey. Faith that you will get through the process. Faith that you are not by yourself in this thing called life. And then there's the sword of the Spirit. It's the only offensive and defensive weapon that you have. The sword of the Spirit is God's sword, his word. God's word is what they're discussing in that moment. And because it's the only defensive and offensive weapon, all the other ones I just said are just for defense. But when you need to actually do something, have some work done, it requires God's word. In ancient times, a soldier used his sword for every day, everything, all the time. He used it for cutting wood. He used it for cooking. He used his sword on a daily basis because using the sword keeps it sharp. The same way you will use God's word in your life every day, it will keep you sharp. When the chaos decides to come into your world, because the minute you decide that you want to get better, chaos will come, show up, and knock on the door. And when it does, if you have already been preparing your sword, sharpening it along the way, then you will be able to defeat that moment the day it arrives. And with all of this, you seal it in prayer, asking God to intervene, because the armor of God is more than just a protective covering. It's God's life force in you, God joining you on the journey, protecting you and covering you with his love. That is the way you get through this journey, and prayer will get you through that process. So, day 11, prayer is simply asking heaven to intervene on your behalf. And if you want to go into this conversation deeper, you need to join us right here on Zoom, where we're having an interactive discussion that takes place after this. You can go to my website, tanyaehood.com, to register, and then join us on the journey. In the meantime, I am Tanya E. Hood, walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.